There's a hush that lingers in the house now. Velvety and deep like shadows in corners no one tends anymore. It wraps itself around everything, especially around Thomas. Once, this space vibrated with Eleanor's laughter, a melody that once filled every room. But now it's just the two of us, me and Thomas, and the profound silence. He tries to mask it, the immense weight he carries. But I see it. I see it in the way his smile arrives a beat too late, or how he pauses just a fraction too long in a doorway. There's a tremor beneath his stillness, a frequency I can't quite name, something that draws me in, gently yet persistently, like an unseen current. It had been a year since we lost Eleanor, a year of learning to simply breathe without her vibrant warmth to inhale. She was pure light, boundless kindness, the undeniable center of our world. And when she departed, she carried a piece of both of us with her. We didn't speak of it. Thomas didn't articulate his pain. He wore it quietly, a heavy cloak. But in that shared silence, something else began to bloom. I can't pinpoint when I first noticed it. Perhaps it was the night the rain drummed so fiercely against the windows I couldn't find sleep. I drifted to the kitchen for tea and found him there, standing utterly still, hands braced on the cool counter as if the quiet itself was deafening. He turned when he heard my soft tread, and our eyes met across the space. No words were needed, just that shared moment of stillness. "Couldn't sleep?" he finally asked, his voice a low murmur. "You too?" He nodded, his voice catching just slightly as he confessed, "I miss the sound of her voice at night." I didn't reply, just poured the tea, offering him a cup. Our fingers brushed, a fleeting contact, but it stole my breath away. He looked down for a moment, then met my gaze again. "You've grown so strong," he said softly. "Eleanor would be incredibly proud." I whispered, "So would she be of you." He smiled then, not a full, easy smile, but one tinged with the memory of something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in a long time. And that silence between us, it shifted after that, becoming charged, resonant. Days unfolded into weeks, seasons turned. I began to take on more responsibilities around the house, cooking, managing the quiet rhythm of our days. He started lingering longer in the rooms where I was. Our conversations stretched, becoming softer, more intimate. He asked about my dreams, not like a father performing a duty, but like a man genuinely wanting to understand me. Just me. One evening, in the gentle light of spring, I found him outside, simply watching the wind dance through the trees. He looked weary, his hands clasped tightly, as if holding on to something precious he feared losing. I asked if I could join him. He smiled, a genuine warmth touching his eyes, and nodded. We sat close, closer than we usually did. After a long while, he whispered, "You remind me of Eleanor. But you're not her. You're something else. Stronger, perhaps." My chest ached with a feeling I couldn't name. I didn't know what words to offer, so I simply placed my hand over his. "You don't have to apologize," I murmured, and he didn't pull away. From that moment, things began to change, subtly, undeniably. We didn't discuss it. We didn't need to. Our silences spoke volumes. He started brushing against me more often, shoulder to shoulder as we passed, a gentle hand on my back, fingers grazing mine when we exchanged dishes. Small gestures, yes, but they carried the weight of unspoken connection. One night, as we cleared the dinner table, he stopped me, his hand covering mine on the edge of a plate. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "for staying, for letting me feel again." I couldn't form a single word. My throat tightened around all the things I couldn't articulate. I just nodded, and we stood there, holding the same dish, our hearts beating a quiet, trembling rhythm. That night, I found myself standing outside his door. I didn't knock. I wasn't sure why I was there. Perhaps I secretly hoped he might open it. Perhaps I equally hoped he wouldn't. I just stood there in the quiet house, listening to the silence. The next day, the air between us felt different. Softer, perhaps a little sadder, but undeniably closer. He smiled more readily. I smiled back. We read together in the evenings, shared quiet memories. I learned he used to paint. A part of him life had somehow pulled away. I told him things I hadn't shared with anyone else. One sun-drenched afternoon, under a vast blue sky, he looked at me, his gaze steady and open. "I'm not afraid of being alone anymore," he said quietly. "Not when you're here." I didn't reply with words. I simply reached for his hand. He laced our fingers together. A simple, profound connection. "I used to think love had rules," he whispered, his thumb gently stroking my hand. "But maybe real love doesn't need them." I turned to face him fully. "Is that what this is?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Yes," he said simply, and in that moment, I believed him completely. That night, he came to my door. Not out of uncertainty or hesitation, but because not being together felt utterly unnatural now. I stepped towards him, his hand lifted, gently brushing my cheek. "You mean everything," he whispered, his voice raw with feeling. "More than I thought I could ever feel again." We didn't cross conventional lines that night. We didn't need to. Love doesn't always conform to the world's expectations. Sometimes it resides in quiet glances, in lingering touches, the kind that communicate depths words could never reach. He stayed by my side that night, just holding my hand, our voices fading into soft breaths. I drifted to sleep with his fingers curled around mine. Morning arrived, soft and hesitant. He was still there. "I didn't want to leave," he whispered, his eyes meeting mine. "Then don't," I replied. And he didn't. The days that followed were simply ours, quiet, largely unspoken, yet overflowing with profound meaning. We knew what others might think, but it held no power over us. What we had wasn't built in defiance, it was built in healing. And sometimes, just sometimes, healing brings a love to the surface that is not loud, not bold, but simply real. And ours